The Neighbor Next Door, The Hidden Abuse. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of our podcast. I'm Paul Mueller, joined along with Janelle Babington, and for the episode of The Animal Court. Now, of course, we are a non-political, non-profit organization, and we expose and fight the justice system that really essentially fails our dogs as well as our cats.
That's correct. And before we begin today's case, just a quick note. The Animal Court is entirely supported by listeners. So if you believe animals deserve justice, you can support the show for just $2, tax deductible. Go to givetodogs.org or givecats.org. Either one will work.
And today's topic, we're going to talk about the dogs of Skid Row, and they're on the streets of Los Angeles. We've got a great guest today, and I can't wait to jump into the conversation. Rebbeca Cory, Stand Up for Pits, got a lot of other accolades underneath that. But before we talk to you, Rebecca, I want everyone watching or listening to take a look at this. And Rebbeca Cory, Stand Up for Pits Foundation. So glad you could be with us today. And we look at that video, and it's almost hard. It's hard to look at, but we know as animal advocates that we need to look at it. And of course, this is one of those warnings of sensitive content, but this is real. This is what's happening. And some do not even know that this is happening on Skid Row in Los Angeles, that there are dogs involved. Give us a sense of what's happening right now.
I mean, sadly, this crisis has been going on for years, decades. In fact, Skid Row, I believe, became a place in the 30s. It was originally called Skid Road, and it was not the only place of its kind. It is the only place of its kind now, and the atrocities that have been done and that are continuing to be done to the humans who inhabit this place and the animals that are there as well is unspeakable and unthinkable. It is basically, there's no set parameter, like hard parameter of what Skid Row is. They say it's an estimated 50 city square blocks, but it is evolving. It is ever moving. And also the crisis is not just in Skid Row. It's not just on Skid Row. A lot of what people have seen over the last 3 years, because of what's being shared and because of the awareness that I've brought and the rescues and the people who go down there to try to save as many animals as they can. Joey going down there, we basically started doing this at the same time, which was 3 years ago. And that's just one small area. But it's important for everybody to know that this is a citywide, countywide. I took that picture. It's a citywide, countywide epidemic, and it's completely being allowed. And the things that are being allowed on Skid Row are horrific. Animals are being force bred, sold. They're fought, starved, infected, raped by humans. They are being abused out in plain sight. I shot that with my camera crew just a couple of weeks ago. That man was abusing that dog for about 12 minutes. And what's shocking is that it's not only being allowed, but people of Los Angeles, a lot of them, one, don't know about it, and two, when they do find out about it, they don't care.
That's a problem with not caring. I mean, and what I find interesting here, too many things in a negative way, Rebecca, but what I find interesting is that you, Joey, the animal advocates are going out there, boots on the ground, working to solve this problem. Now, we know the mayor, Karen Bass, back in November, I believe, announced a new initiative that would essentially, help dogs in the city. And what I have seen looking from afar is that it's just animal advocates doing the work, like you, Joey, and so many others out there on a daily basis, helping these dogs, trying to get these dogs out of harm's way.
Karen Bass is a liar. And so is LA Animal Services. And I spoke at the LADA's office, anti-cruelty, animal cruelty, press conference, and everything that the DA said, as well as the head of law enforcement, they lied too. They say to call the police if you see something is happening, and when you call the police, they won't respond. If you call LA Animal Services because you see abuse happening, LA Animal Services will either, if you get through after an hour on hold, they'll either call you a liar, ask you if you have proof, or they won't go. And if by chance they actually go, which according to one LAPD chief has said, they only come when the LAPD, like if the LAPD calls 10 times, one time out of 10, they'll actually show up. And when they do show up, they don't give anyone who's abusing the animals any punishment. In fact, they give them wire crates and they call it support. And now a new program, another new program. It's just a gaslighting tool. That's all it is. It's a way of covering their ass so that they can say that they're doing something. It's optics, but it's not true. It's not factual. It's not.
Rebecca, how can they control those optics though? When we see this video day in and day out, is it just the fact that people are unaware that this is happening? I mean, dogs, you see it. Dogs are dying. Dogs are being tested with fentanyl and other drugs like that. They're being bred. And how can the city per se be so not have a clear understanding of what's going on there? Or is it just ignorance?
I've got to interrupt. Yeah, they're not paying attention. I've been reading a lot about Rebecca and what she's been doing and the other animal organizations and advocacy organizations, and they are the only activists out there. The mayor needs to step in and try to make change. I watched Rebecca at that LA council meeting. Nobody was looking. I was beside myself. Here's Rebecca. She is the strongest advocate out there now, fighting for the animals. And not one person, to me, I don't know, Russ, if you have that video or a shot of that, is looking at her. And these are the very people that can help her.
This weekend, dogs were suffering and dying on Skid Row because they did not have adequate food, water, and shelter. The slaughtering of animals in city shelters is out of control, as is the treatment of volunteers. And you all know that too, even the ones chit-chatting and pretending to not hear. How do you get up every single day and come to work and choose to do nothing for the animals? How do you do that?
Look at the people in the background
walking. You have
walking.
more power than Bass. You can make a change. You can end the suffering and killing of animals in Los Angeles, but you choose to do nothing.
Next speaker.
This is your
So basically your time has expired. We have to move on to the next speaker.
Okay, that's mind-blowing
how
to
does
me.
it happen? Yeah, I mean, you sit there and essentially you're talking to a brick wall. And they're fine with that. They're not even sitting there. They're not even listening. They're just completely avoiding the problem. And then Mayor Bass and the other city officials say, hey, don't worry, we've got this under control. That makes absolutely no sense. And to see that video it's just jaw dropping, Rebecca. It really is. They're not doing a thing.
No, they're not. Go ahead.
Nithya Ramnan, if I'm pronouncing that right, if I'm not mistaken, she had something to do with, she's a big advocate for the homeless, and she's trying to, make it better out there, if you will, for short of lack of term, because I noticed you pointed her out in the meeting that she was missing, hiding. I'm calling it all hiding. The mayor's hiding. They're all hiding as far as I'm concerned. I've learned enough about Skid Row and what you were doing and the LA Animal Services and the police department. And, again, being in the business, it's, we obviously know animals don't have rights. The homeless, not all the homeless, but the homeless people that are out there neglecting the dogs and abusing the dogs, they're breaking the law and nobody's doing anything about it.
Yeah. And, here's the reality. It's been going on for decades. And 3 years ago, I decided to make it my mission that it would not be an insular, dirty little secret that only Los Angeles, only a few knew. And I decided that I would fight like hell to make everybody aware. But while doing that, also not just screaming and not just yelling and not just, doing every news show and doing every interview and doing all of that stuff. I also offered a real plan for animals. I offered LA Animal Services back in the day. It was Stacey Daines in August of 2023. I offered her a real plan with Humane World for Animals standing by, and it offered in writing to help safely remove abused animals from Skid Row, and then they would be triaged, and then we would find a place or somewhere for them to go, either through rescue partners or put them in different hospitals or do whatever we could to help aid the animals who were removed. So there was a real plan in place. My charity also offered to spay and neuter 60 pit bull type dogs on Skid Row to help stop the hemorrhaging and overflowing of animals that keep coming. And while we're contending with an extremely broken shelter system, it only compounds that issue even worse. So all of those offers of resources and solutions and funding and time and hard work were laughed at and ignored. But I kept going and kept trying and fighting and going to City Hall. And what you see at City Hall is exactly the manifestation of what I've experienced. For 3 years. I've tried to talk to the heads of the shelters. I've tried to talk to law enforcement. I've spoken to the heads of the shelters, spoken to law enforcement, spoken to the DA's office, spoken to the attorneys, spoke to City Hall. I've done everything that I possibly can as a charity, and I'm a national charity, but I'm focusing very, very hard on doing this. I've added an entire job on top of the already, the job that I have to do to operate 7 programs nationwide. So it's been extremely frustrating. It's been extremely exhausting, and it's hard to articulate just what it feels like when you feel like you're screaming into a vacuum. And when I've come face to face with that and came to terms with they don't care, they will continue to gaslight, they will continue launching fake programs, they will put out fake press statements, they will go on the news and lie bold-faced to all of Los Angeles residents, the person interviewing them. Once I realized that was the reality, nothing I could say or no video that we could show would ever change that. I decided that I would hire a legal team and that I would use our resources. We're the largest pit bull type dog charity in the United States that I'm aware of, in terms of what we do, breed specific, type of dog specific, I should say, not breed. And so, to take this on, I knew it would be colossal, and it's something I've never wanted to do. I never thought I would have to do it. I've never had a legal issue in the 16 years I've been doing the Stand Up for Pits Foundation. Not once, never been a plaintiff or a defendant, never wanted to be. That's not the route that I ever thought I would have to go down. But when I realized there was no helping this, and this was the only chance for the animals, then I hired a legal team. We sent Karen Bass a 30-day demand letter. And every day on social media, we said, you have to sit down face to face, and talk about it. We will offer solutions. We will offer resources. Every single day I posted on social media. I wrote a petition with Joey Tuccio. He wanted to do a petition. I helped him write this. We ended up getting 30,000 signatures. She ignored that. 30 days later, she ignored the demand letter. So I went one step further. You've ignored the demand letter. You've ignored the petition. You've ignored what's being posted online for now almost 3 years. So now I'm suing you. So Mark Garagos is part of our legal team along with the Ryther Group. And there are some other people behind the scenes that have been incredible who are helping as well. And we served them a historical, unprecedented lawsuit. I believe it was at the beginning of December. They filed a demurrer, which means they want it to be thrown out. We fought that, refiled on May 21st. And we'll see how this goes. We'll see how long they fight it. But one thing that's really important for people to understand, this is a really, really, really important thing for people to understand that is not being said enough. So I'm going to say it here. Okay. Karen Bass, the LAPD, LA Animal Services, Nathan Hockman, the DA's office, LA City, the GMs, the interim Stacey Daines, the interim Annette Ramirez, and the current GM. They all know what's going on. This is not a secret. And now, finally, after 3 years, everyone is watching. Okay? It's not a secret anymore, but they are choosing. This is what people need to understand, not only here in Los Angeles, but nationwide. Instead of, we're not implementing new rules. We're not asking them to do anything outside of what they're paid to do. We are asking them to enforce the laws. We are offering resources and support. They are choosing, think about this. Karen Bass, the city, all the people aforementioned are choosing to fight a charity that has been serving the community for 16 years. We have saved thousands of dogs, countless dogs, through a myriad of different ways, okay? They are consciously choosing to not only ignore the horrors that they're seeing, but they are choosing to use taxpayer dollars to fight a charity that is serving their community, essentially doing their job. But their choice is, let's deplete this charity, let's bury this charity, let's disappear this charity, and let's use taxpayer dollars to do it while animals are suffering unthinkable abuse and being slaughtered in what they call no-kill shelters.
Rebecca, it's absolutely mind-blowing, Rebecca. I go through this with so many cases. The laws aren't enforced. And as far as I'm concerned, it's political. It's always political. I don't know what they're afraid of out there in LA, why they're not helping. Who is helping you? Who is? What authorities are helping? Is anybody willing to be courageous enough to say, we stand with Rebecca? Animals are property. The laws aren't being enforced.
No.
None of these council members, the mayor, how about the governor?
No.
The mayor has the power to, are they so afraid of discrimination and homelessness? Is that what it is? That the situation is overwhelming. We know that.
Well,
offering solutions.
I'm offering solutions. Yeah, I'm not just out here with a sign screaming and crying and making, it's not performative. It's not like this isn't something I want to be doing. It's not.
I get it.
I'm out here saying this is a preventable crisis. In my opinion, as a national charity of 16 years and pitbull type dog specific, I've seen the unseeable. I've heard the most unthinkable things, as I'm sure many of you guys have. Things you can't fathom that can be done to an animal. But I have to say, what is happening in Los Angeles, and this includes the shelters are included in this. LA city shelters are included in this. They have the audacity, Best Friends Animal Society has the audacity to call our shelters no kill LA, when every single day, dogs, adoptable, loving animals who haven't been out of their kennels for weeks and months on end, who've gone kennel crazy, who are now chewing on bars and chewing on the walls and laying in their own filth. They're now sick. They're slaughtering them. And I'm not going to say killing. I'm saying slaughtering, because when you are killing regularly every single day, how dare they call Los Angeles no kill LA? It is a tout. It's a clout. It's a grab of, it's for politicians to say, hey, look we have a no-kill city. And there's protections in that. And it's absolute bullshit. And that I'm just as angry about that as I am about what's going on Skid Row. Both are wild injustices towards animal. And in my opinion, I feel like what is happening in Los Angeles is literally the nation's largest cruelty case in history. It is bigger than any dog fight operation. It is bigger than any hoarding situation. This is a massive mass massacre and torture of animals happening in plain sight, while people who know that it's happening literally refuse to do it. And you ask, why do you think that is? In my experience, what I've found is, yes, there is a claim of we need to focus on cultural sensitivity when it comes to unhoused individuals. But no one is saying that every single animal that an unhoused individual has must be removed. What I am saying is the ones who are being horrifically abused, bred, fought, starved, stabbed, raped, they need to be removed. And they need to be removed now. They need to be removed now. This can be done.
Huge animal removals are done when there's natural disasters, there's flooding, there's fires. This is a state of emergency. There should actually be trucks rolling down the street with law enforcement, removing animals from abusers. That should happen. This is a state of emergency. What is happening in Los Angeles city shelters, that needs to stop too. And if it can't, then don't call it something that it's not.
I just wanted to back up. I've read all about Rebbeca. I've been following Rebbeca for a while, and Joey Tucci, and I've seen what they're doing, and their plans are solid. Everything they say makes sense. I still can't understand, like Rebbeca, why LA Animal Services, LA PD, what are they afraid of? With the homelessness, as Rebbeca says, they're not talking about taking away animals from all of the homeless. There are some unhoused people that are doing very well by the animals. We know that, but they're also breaking the law. They're not allowed to break the law. So why isn't the law being enforced? I see it all the time.
Here's why. The shelters are at capacity. They're low staffed. They cut the budget. But even though currently they're killing dogs all the time in Los Angeles city shelters with empty kennels now, that's a big trend. And there's no answer to that either. But the incompetence that are running the shelters, the lack of funding, the shortness of staff, they'll say that that's one of the reasons why they don't have people out in the field taking these animals. Also, there was I believe it was Brenda Barnett. Don't quote me. I'll have to double check that. But Stacey Danes told me that the GM before her was Brenda Barnett, put ordinance or put a policy in place that said nobody without an address can be cited. So therefore, if you do not have an address, you do not have the laws. That's the rule.
That goes against the law. That goes against the law. Animal
Correct.
control rules and regulations cannot go above state law.
They are. So their little policy is, we're not going to do anything to anyone who doesn't have an address. We're not going to cite them if the dogs are not spay or neutered, if the dogs are not licensed, if they're breeding the dogs. Well, we're going to give them wire crates and leashes and bowls to confine them in on 140-degree days where they sit outside without adequate food, water, and shelter in confinement, dying in plain sight. They're not afraid of anything. Just not
is this
doing
animal services that created this rule or law? Animal services, they can't go above state law. You can't. And the law, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Here's what's happening, and I know this because I do my work a lot for Los Angeles, and so often the case, as you know, Rebbeca, and we're talking about huge, large-scale state of emergency, as you say. In so many cases, we have to get the evidence, we have to put it in a box. And not only do we have to fight the abuser, but we also have to fight law enforcement, like you're talking about. And then we have to fight the district attorney, the prosecuting attorney, the county attorney, and then we even have to go up to the judge. So you've got this state of emergency going on there, and nobody's doing anything. So what can be done?
Compared to what Rebecca's dealing with, our cases are small. Our cases are individual cases. I deal with it on a daily basis.
I understand that.
I want to explain this too. And this is something that isn't getting explained very often either. And hopefully this will help, even if it helps one person understand. Here's the deal. The DA says that they cannot prosecute animal abusers unless they get cases. When the LAPD see animals being abused, let's just say Skid Row, we won't do citywide or countywide because it's so overwhelming. Your mind can't handle it. Let's just say Skid Row. When LAPD see that there's being cruelty done on Skid Row out in the open, and when they try to do something, animal control tells the LAPD, you can't do that. You can't take the animal and you can't file anything. And then when the LAPD says, then you guys need to come down here and get these animals. There's a dog here dying in front of me. I've been on the phone with a sergeant calling LA Animal Services going, there is a dog dying in front. It's on a 2-inch tether. It cannot move its neck. It's 110 degrees. It's going to die. And the person on LA Animal Services says, no, it's fine. Just give the dog some water. So you have LA Animal Services saying no. The LAPD saying we can't file a case without LA Animal Services doing it. The DA saying we can't prosecute without a case. And then you have Mayor Bass telling everyone, leave it as is. But then when she gets a demand letter, when she knows a lawsuit is pending, she'll do a big statement on the website. We've got a new program, everybody. It's called a Skid Row Task Force, and we are going to crack down on cruelty. They did like 3 photo ops and haven't done a single thing since. You could get in your car right now, go down to Skid Row right now, and you could find horrors happening in plain sight. You could buy a puppy. You could walk into storefronts. You could see dead animals. You could see people smacking, punching dogs in the face, grabbing. Last time I was there, I watched a man pick up a puppy that's 3 months old by the throat, shake it really, really hard, hold it in the air. We chased him down, and he had been microchipped to him. One of Karen Bass's programs. They microchip.
The mayor and the governor have the power to change the systems and to make this right, and they're not doing it. They're not doing it. Like you said, this is a mass cruelty that's going on. I cry. I watch the videos. I cry. I cry at my own cases. We're on your side. I can tell you that much. And I'm about to publish this to about 300,000 of our viewers.
Because I know that social media these days is such a powerful tool. How much do you think that social media is actually getting this out there to more people than ever before? They're saying, oh my gosh, this is actually happening on Skid Row. And they join the fight against the system.
Well, Paul, I mean, essentially for 3 years, it's just been me and Joey. It's just been me. Joey goes down every week. I don't go down every week. Joey does. He, in that first year, he was pulling animals. My charity was paying for him and networking out. He would pull an animal. He would save an animal. I would pay for it. Save an animal. I would pay for it. We got up to over $50,000, and I was like, time out here. My charity doesn't bring in millions of dollars. Okay. I'm the only employee. I run my whole charity by myself. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm a national organization. We're never going to solve this pulling one at a time. I love that Joey goes down there. I love that he saves as many as he can. And I love that more people, because they know, are jumping in to foster or to take a Skid Row dog. But in my mind, to answer your question, social media has something to do with it, no question, but 3 years, I have been screaming at the top of my lungs for 3 years fighting this, sharing every video that Joey has taken, funding a lot of these dogs. And even
where are the celebrities? Where are the celebrities? Are there any celebrities helping? People surely, I don't understand. The celebrities with the big money.
It's not important to them. And in my opinion, my charity, the Stand Up for Pits Foundation, is also non-political. We do not endorse. We will not endorse. We have no business in any of that. We don't care. Our job is to work with any and all leaders to help end what is going on. But I believe the biggest problem is that people in Los Angeles they refuse to speak against or show any opposition to a leader that represents their political party, which is devastating because animal welfare is a nonpartisan issue. It has nothing to do with politics. And that is my belief is that they're not saying anything. If you asked me why, I mean, honestly, I don't know. But if I were to guess, it would be because the people who are in power represent their party, and they will not put the ethical treatment of animals before their politics. That is more important to them. And also, they don't really want to touch on that. Will they jump on the bandwagon for the Yulin meat, dog meat thing? You bet they will. Matt Damon, to the list of celebrities who spoke out about that. But that's far away. You see, that's not in their backyard. That's easier for them to do. It's cowardly and shameful. I'm disgusted with all of them.
It is cowardly, and it is all about politics. On a small scale with what we deal with, whether it's one person who knows one person, the mayor's wife who just killed a cat in South Carolina or somewhere, all of a sudden her case is gone. It's all politics. Yours is on a massive, LA has a massive problem without question, Rebecca. We need to, I always say we need to create a quote unquote George Floyd movement for this situation, Skid Row and what's going on, starting there. if possible, because
I
the
tried
only
to,
people
I
that are
tried
going to
to,
get involved are the animal lovers. Are there any other animal advocacy organizations working with you within LA? Anybody else besides you and Joey?
no,
Anybody? Are they all
no.
afraid to go down there? And don't get me wrong. I believe it's the most difficult job in the world, running an animal shelter. Okay. I do what I do on my end. We all do what we can do, where our skills, allow us to do. And I believe what you're doing not even counting Skid Row is the most difficult job in the world. Okay. There's so much passion involved and there's so much hardship. And the bottom line is there's too many animals and not enough homes. So until we solve that crisis, animals are going to continue to be abused. Okay. Until we solve the spay neuter crisis, which Lord knows when that will happen. I just cannot believe, I really can't. I'll say it over and over. And I can't wait to start publishing more after talking to you about what's going on. I don't understand why others aren't stepping in, publicizing
Well,
this.
when I'm
Helping
not going to
you.
give, I'm not, I'll try to help you understand, but the reality is I don't understand, but if I'm going to reach and try to come up with something, it would be that, a lot of rescues, maybe some want to help, but you have to understand when you pull a dog off of Skid Row, they are extremely costly. Some of the dogs that we saved were well over $10,000. I mean, they're sick. A lot of them need decompression and training, and they have giardia, and they're underweight, and they have worms, and there's
Right.
a bunch of things. Some of them have horrible injuries. Some of the dogs, the expense is outrageous, and a lot of rescues simply can't do that.
They can't afford
Another
it.
thing,
Right.
can't afford it. Another issue
Don't
is
have the resources, time.
you don't know what the dogs have been through, and a lot of rescues don't want to take on dogs who may possibly have issues. And the last thing I would say is, a lot of rescues, there is a monopoly in Los Angeles. There's a lot of rescues who receive a lot of funding for being aligned with large organizations and being aligned with the city, and they get money from best friends, and you don't want to, and these rescues need that money too in order to save lives. So a lot of times I'm not a rescue. I do the work of a rescue, but I'm not a rescue. So they can't take my rights. They can't threaten me.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
don't get me wrong, I'm being threatened, and they want me quiet, believe me. And I am suffering retaliation every single day. Trust me. And some of it's going to come out what they're doing, but I don't care.
I don't blame you. I say that here I am over here on the other side of the country, but these larger organizations, one of the things I learned immediately 15 years ago when I really started getting heavily involved behind the scenes with animal welfare is that these larger charities will not get involved. They won't, because they're afraid of their donor base, and their donor base consists of politics, okay, who might be conservative, who might be liberal, and who in the money that they're getting. So they can't lose that money. It's all politics. No matter how you slice it, it comes down to politics.
Money,
and that's why they won't get involved.
What it is, and it's disgusting.
It is what it is, and it's disgusting. And we just want to take a 1 minute break here, if you don't mind, Rebecca. Stories like this are exactly why this podcast exists. So if you want to help us keep exposing cases like this and pushing for justice, as little as $2 tax deductible, we'll support the show. Just go to givetodogs.org or givetocats.org. And the majority of our donations will go to cases like Rebecca's, without question, starting with Rebecca.
We continue to talk about Skid Row, LA, the crisis that's happening out there. Rebbeca Cory, very outspoken, as you've heard. She's fighting the city. She's fighting the system. But Rebecca, the question is, with all this silence from City Hall and from the officials, what is happening to these dogs? Joey is picking up one dog a day. Someone else is picking up one dog a day. But there are dogs out there dying of fentanyl, of fentanyl overdoses. The dogs are, dogs, their eyes are stuck together. You see this. It sounds like the people, the animal advocates, are the only ones who feel like it's necessary to address this horrific problem.
It's true. I mean, as I've said, I've been screaming for 3 years, and not only screaming, but also trying to offer ways to end it, offering solutions and resources. And the reality, a lot of times you see people online say, why don't you just go down there and take those dogs? And how dare you film it and not take them? And, blah, blah. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And I would challenge anyone to get in their car and go down there, and you try to, you think about just going and taking a dog from someone who's high on crystal meth, who could have a machete, a knife, a gun, any sort of substance, and walk in there. I mean, the people need to understand what Skid Row is. They need to understand what's happening in these encampments a lot of times. And again, it's not all unhoused people, but we're talking about, when I talk about the crisis, I'm talking about the animal abusers. I'm not talking about on a whole class or whole group of people. That's not what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm talking about animal abusers. And when people are like, if they're not going to do it, if BASS isn't going to do it and no one's going to do it and the agencies and the leaders aren't going to do it, then we all need to go down there and just do it. Okay. First of all, then, okay, people are going to get killed. Okay. That'll happen. And then the other thing is, what are you going to do? You're gonna in all of the SROs, they're breeding all the dogs, and in every tent, you're just going to ransack it doesn't work like that. It's not a cartoon. This isn't make-believe. This isn't, a superheroes movie. You need a plan. You need law enforcement. You need protection. You need somewhere for the animals to go. You need the abusers to be prosecuted, to be arrested, to be removed. You need all of the animals taken. You could go down, people have said, well, why don't people just go down and handle business themselves? Go down there like, what do you call that? Would people go
Street
do
justice.
crazy? Whatever. Yeah.
Street
Let's just go. Yeah. Let's go do that. Oh, okay. So then within a month, there'll be 40 more litters on the street. It'll all just keep going because the problem wasn't solved. Yes, taking the dogs matters. What Joey does when he goes down there matters. 1, it raises awareness. 2, it helps save lives, thankfully. But it is not solving the problem. Needs to be solved. They have to enforce the laws. The people who are allowing and condoning what is happening in Los Angeles need to be held accountable. And the laws that are in place already need to be enforced. And only then will we start seeing, it won't happen overnight. Like, change won't happen overnight, but a mass sweep of removing, animals could happen overnight. That could actually be planned, and block by block by block, truck by truck by truck, mobile unit by mobile unit by mobile unit, and a triage center set up, and animals being sent out to other places where there's not a crisis like we have. That is doable. That has happened. Like I said, when there's fires, there's natural disaster, they will fly hundreds of animals out in a matter of a day. So, this is a fixable problem. This is fixable. It is being allowed to happen. And we're doing everything we can within our power. I can say that if this lawsuit, if it doesn't work, if we don't win and the monsters win, I can walk away. I will be sickened and gutted beyond anything. That's I can't even talk about it. It makes me sick to think. But if that happens, which is a possibility, at least I can say I tried everything. I did everything. And, the multi-million-dollar companies, the PETAs and Best Friends who bring in over $155 million a year, and this will have to be an onus on them. They will have to choose to do it. And they'll have to ask themselves, why didn't they try? Why is this tiny little David and Goliath? Why is this a David and Goliath situation? Why isn't everyone piling on and going, no, this is enough. Done. I mean, if everyone put their resources together, this could be over. No one cares. And there's a huge reason for me to believe that a lot of people don't want this crisis to end, because if the crisis ends, so does their lifestyle,
So do their salaries. So do their private planes, their private jets, and $500,000 salaries. And a lot of people don't like it when you start fucking with their money. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
maybe that's the reason why this shit isn't ending, because people don't want it to end. People make a lot of money off this. A lot of money.
Rebecca,
and the animals for the NGOs for the people and the animals. It's gross.
I'll never. I agree with you. I don't understand why the huge organizations, we all know who they are. ASPCA, PETA, Best Friends, all of them that are taken in the tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars each year. Why aren't they there full force with you? And again, it's been my belief, it will always be my belief, it's because of their donors and the grants that they get and the political motives behind the people who are giving the donations to them.
They can all burn in hell then too. They can all run.
I'm with you, but I don't know. I don't have any other solutions either or reasoning why they wouldn't. I'm tiny over here. Paul and I talk all day long. He's tiny. Where are these big organizations helping? Why don't they band together? I'll never understand.
CEOs, because they're big people are raking in all this money. I think Rebecca hit the nail on the head. It all boils down to money. The problem still exists. But so-and-so is making $500,000, right? And what is this person doing with the dogs, right? I think money is a huge issue here.
But Paul, these people make more than enough money to keep their large salaries and
I understand that.
Send $10 million to Rebecca to fight her lawsuit. Or $1 million. Everybody get together and send $1 million.
Why spend their money? Why would they even spend their money to begin with? Because then they're really acknowledging there's a problem.
It doesn't then. Ugh.
Yeah, it's infuriating.
Right.
It is infuriating, Rebecca. I say it all the time on a small level over here with what I'm doing. And I'm a firm believer that they don't want to lose their grants or their donations or their donors who are on one side of the political spectrum or on another side. But what is $1 million to them? What is $1 million if everybody threw it into Rebecca?
Well, I mean, did you see that Best Friends and the ASPCA are they're offering to give $14 million, but $7 million each over a 3-year period to hire 23 new people? We don't need new people. We don't need 23 new positions. We need the laws to be enforced. We don't need some optic, big, massive donation, which, by the way, $7 million between the over 3-year period between organizations, that is nothing.
That is nothing. I agree.
It's optics.
Who is putting together this plan? And who are they giving the money to? More importantly, so if there is 14 million,
animal services, it's the ASPCA and it's Best Friends Animal Society, and they're offering 23 new jobs. Oh, that'll solve it. It won't solve anything. It's garbage.
It's not going to solve anything.
I guarantee that contribution that they give, they'll get back tenfold by doing the press that they've already done for it. It was in People magazine. Big donation. They're bullshit. It's all bullshit.
Exactly. If they wanted to make a difference out of it's without question, the money should go to you and Joey with your solid plan. Where is their plan?
Pay for the lawsuit. They should pay for the lawsuit. And
they should pay for the lawsuit. They should pay for the lawsuit. That is exactly what I would do with my donations. And that is exactly what my people would say to do that.
And so if you're asking what I need to do, what you were going to say, like, what do you need to do next? Or, what's next? It would really be, we need support for the lawsuit.
We need support for the lawsuit.
It's some of it is pro bono, not all of it. We're paying for this. They're dragging it out.
I know. Quickly regarding the lawsuit, does the PACT Act involve? Is the PACT Act? Could the PACT Act be involved? Only because I don't know enough about this, but some of these dogs out there are some of these coming from interstate to breed for dog fights. Again, a whole nother topic. But does dog fighting come into play on Skid Row?
Yeah. There's dog fighting that happens on Skid Row. And in 2019, my charity donated a $13,000 camera to the SPCA so that they could put it up and monitor a dog fighting operation that was happening downtown. What happened? I have no idea. And has the SPCA helped me in my effort to fight this? No. But they kept that $13,000 camera. And so does dogfighting exist in Los Angeles? You bet it does. And if that would be the one way on a federal level they could come in and help, any help
is
Yeah,
needed.
your attorneys need to know about the PACT Act, because anytime an animal crosses state lines and there's abuse involved, the PACT Act, the feds can get involved.
Oh yeah, but I think we have a bigger issue with this time, not just the feds, but the local. The local
We do.
people are not
Right.
doing a thing. That's where the emphasis has to be. And it's not until,
Exactly.
I mean, what's going to be, Rebecca, I know you don't have a crystal ball, but what is going to be the turning point here? You talked about, I've seen this, the knives, the guns, the danger, the violence, tweaked out on whatever drug. Is it going to take people dying? Is it going to take animal advocates dying to
Yes,
even,
Paul.
will it even send a
Yeah,
signal?
No. Could it happen? Yes. And one of my biggest fears for Joey and anyone that goes down there,
Yeah.
it's when is it going to be the news story that someone has been killed because they went down there to save a dog because these scumbags refuse to do their jobs? And do I think that that's going to happen? I hope to God it doesn't, because I will be gutted by that as well. But almost every single day, and every time Joey goes down there, and every time I am horrified and terrified and sickened at the idea that that could happen. And even when I've been down there have been times where I have felt afraid. The last time we went down there, we were in 2 vehicles. They were both vandalized. Within 1 hour, both vehicles, they threw metal pipes at our cars and damaged the cars. It's not a joke. This is not a joke. This is really extremely serious. And as I said, it is my belief this is the largest animal cruelty case in the history of the country, and the size and scale is like nothing else.
Who are the politicians helping?
Force,
Not one.
what's that?
Who are the politicians helping? Not
I
one.
love that you keep asking who's helping. No one.
Nobody.
Like, I don't understand. Nobody.
Yeah. Nobody.
No celebrities, no agencies, no leaders, no politicians, nobody. You're looking at the one, and more and more people are starting to become aware of it, but nobody
is helping.
No.
Well, we're going to help you start publishing this without question. We've got a lot of followers, as does Paul, and we're going to be sure to continue to stay on the story for you, Rebecca. We're going to send as much funds as we can your way. Fundraise, help you. I'm on your side. There's nothing you can do besides try to win this lawsuit, and we're going to be right here.
Even if you win it, worth noting, if we win, we have to monitor them to see if they actually follow through with what we're asking. So that will be a whole nother, you know what I'm saying? Like, imagine that concept, like
enforcing the law. Right. But it's a step forward.
You've got to be the watchdog.
You got to be
step forward.
We have to try. If this doesn't work, right now is the time now. If this doesn't work, I truly believe, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that it will ever change. And I think it will continuously get worse. And I think, it'll just be a bloodbath massacre for many years to come.
And Karen Bass and company won't be taking responsibility for that because they'll probably be out of office by then.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we have just a minute left here.
What can people do? What can people at home do? What can they do?
Donate to the Stand Up for Pits Foundation. Earmark the funds and say, this is for the lawsuit. Whether it's $1, $5, whatever, that would be great. They have shown us that they want to drag this on, so we're going to have to pay for it. Donate. If people don't have money and they can't donate, keep educating people. Follow us, share the stories, share the things that we talk about, educate people about this lawsuit, educate people about what's going on in one of the largest cities in the world. I mean, we live in the United States of America at the very, very least, and we're a national organization. At the very least, if you can't donate, or you don't live here and you can't foster one of the dogs or take one of the dogs, or you can't, whatever, at least tell people what is going on in one of the largest cities in the world, one that touts itself with like the largest budget, like we're rich, progressive thinking, allegedly.
And this is being allowed to happen in this country in 2026. People need to know that. They also need to understand that animal abuse affects everybody. This is not just an animal welfare issue. Those who are abusing animals will go on, and most likely they oftentimes do go on to commit crimes against humans. So if you don't think this affects you, if this is happening in your area, if you don't think it affects you, you are wrong. You are wrong. It affects you. They will come for you too. Your communities are not safe as long as this is being allowed. And right now, the Olympics are coming here. You know, the world is watching Los Angeles, and we need to keep letting them know, yes, where all of this, you know, where all the glitz and glam is, where all the power and money is, where all the forward thinking is, and where all of these events are coming on the world stage. Also, what is happening simultaneously is one of the largest cruelty cases ever, in plain sight, and everyone knows about it and refuses to end it.
Rebecca, your website again for people to donate?
Standupforpits.us. Yep.
Standupforpits.us.
Right.
So on that note, I think we have to close it up for now. Rebecca, thank you.
Hey, Rebecca, it was great. It was great talking with you. Thank you. And you know what? I would say good luck, but luck is not what you need there. You need an administration that listens, a system that works, and people who truly have the empathy and the sympathy like we do to care for those animals and to get them out of harm's way.
Yeah. Next week, I'm going to be talking on our podcast with Paul and another guest about a small situation. Same thing. They dismissed the case. All of the evidence is there. It's the same principle. They're not enforcing the law. And after we get that published, we're going to get Rebecca's right on, you know, we're going to get Rebecca's published first is the moral of the story here. So next week we'll be back. Same broken system, new case.
And we'll see you then. Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, Janelle.
Rebecca, thank you so much. We'll be talking again.
Okay. Thank you.
This is The Animal Court, a nonprofit podcast that's powered in part by your donations. Please visit us online at theanimalcourt.org and don't miss the next episode.